welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today I have my 12 recommendations wrap up for you. If you are not somebody who's on Instagram or you haven't seen my TBR, in the beginning of this year I asked for 12 reading recommendations on Instagram. It was like a challenge that was going around. And I've already finished all 12 of my books, and it is only the end of April. So I do plan on doing a second round. I'm in the process of getting those recommendations right now. So look out for a TBR once I finally get all of them. But these are the first 12 that I read. So I'm going to go in order from my favorites to my least favorites. Some of them are really difficult to rate because I feel like, not rate, but rank, because I feel like they are equally as good, or it's hard to pick a true favorite. So let's just dive in. So we're going to start with our favorites and work our way down to our least favorites. So one of my major favorites was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I had a feeling that I was going to love this one, but I was also kind of hesitant because I feel like this one got really hyped before I got to it, and I was scared that it was going to become too hyped for me. We are following a couple, and they've been married for years. They always follow this trend of on the first anniversary you do paper, the second anniversary you do, I don't follow them, the traditional gifts for each year. And they are at a point where they are kind of having a really rocky relationship, and they are going away for their anniversary weekend. And the other perspective that we are seeing is his wife has been writing letters to him every year of their marriage. And something else that's kind of rocky about, and she doesn't share them with him. And then the other thing about this relationship is the husband has a disorder where he does not recognize facial features. So if he met you today, he still wouldn't know your face tomorrow. So he doesn't even recognize his own wife, which is crazy. So there's a whole bunch of drama. I don't even want to say things because I feel like it would just give things away. This twist at the end, my jaw was on the ground. So shocking. Didn't see it coming at all. And I love that about thrillers. And I couldn't put this down. This was the beginning of January. I just remember I had been reading a lot of mediocre things, or things that were okay but nothing I loved. Nothing that was unputdownable. And then I picked this one, and it was my first 5-star of the year. So had to make my top ranking of the 12, I feel like. Then I also, not that one. One that I don't own, which hopefully I will one day. I said I was going to buy it this weekend, but I didn't see it, was With Love from London. Now, this was recommended to me by somebody who just basically said, read this author. Don't care what you read, just read this author. And I picked this one because it came out in February. So I was like, this is the newest release. Let's just start there. And the other covers of her other books kind of weren't necessarily calling to me. So I was like, I'm just going to do this one. And I borrowed it from the library, and I instantly regretted it because I originally had it pre-ordered once she told me to read it. And I was like, no, let's save some money. Let's read it as a Kindle, a copy from the library. And I majorly regret it because I loved this book. It's a dual timeline story. We are following a girl whose mother has passed away. Her mother has not been in her life since she was 12. She lives in London, and her mother dies, and so she has to go to London to kind of deal with her estate and the bookstore that her mother owned. And she's really kind of coming to terms with her grief and her relationship with her mother, her non-existent relationship with her mother, what happened. And we also are following her mother's perspective of when her mother was younger, and her story of how she's kind of come to be in this position that she was in. Fantastic book. Highly recommend it. It's got some romance. It's got some intrigue. There's a little bit of a scavenger hunt going on. 5-star read by far. Then my next 5-star read. Now these three, like I said, these were kind of interchangeable. I could have put 1 second, 1 third. It didn't really matter. This is my other 5-star read, and this is A More Perfect Union by Tammy Huff. This is recommended to me by Geraldine from Geraldine Reads. I feel like she changed her username. She has a channel on YouTube. And Geraldine and I talk all the time, and we're always recommending things to each other. And she took my recommendation about reading Yellow Wife. And I would say if you loved Yellow Wife, you will very much love this one as well. This is following a woman who is a slave. She's a new slave. Well, she's not a new slave, but she's new to this plantation. And we're also following another man who has come to America from Ireland. He's trying to escape the famine. His family is just basically not done well in Ireland, and so him and his sisters are on their way over here. He is the only one to survive, and so he becomes a blacksmith, and he's trying to find work. So he goes down south, and he ends up at her plantation, and relationships kind of ensue, which is very obviously not appropriate at that time for a Black woman to be with a white man. So there's obviously a lot of controversy around that. And just, it takes a real look at slavery and the South at that time. Phenomenal story. Breaks your heart. Very emotional. It is based off of her like, it's in her lineage. I think it's her great-great-grandparents. Not sure exactly where it fits, but it is her family's kind of story, loosely. So I found that very interesting. So loved this one. If you like historical fiction, you will definitely love this one. Then I've got No One Can Hear You Scream, which I gave 4.5 stars. This is by A.B. Whalen. I don't know how to pronounce it. This is about a woman. She is about to go take her kids and her boyfriend away for the weekend. They've been together, I think, about a year. She's divorced, and they're about to go away for the weekend, and craziness ensues. Like, the villain in this book is probably one of the worst villains that I have ever encountered. I don't even know, like, how to explain it, but, like, he made my skin crawl. Like, I, like, had, like, body reactions to him. And I don't normally, like, react to books like that, but I just was so just, like, he was just bad. Trigger warnings for, like, sexual assault, so that's in there. So it does have some trigger warnings that come with it. But, man, this book was intense. And I can't wait to read her again. So I was very excited to get that one recommended to me. I read that through Kindle Unlimited. So if you are interested in it, definitely go check out Kindle Unlimited. Then I read Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance by Ruth Emmy Lang. Now this one I gave 4 stars to, and this was probably the one that I thought was going to be my least favorite. Like, if you asked me in the very beginning, like, which one was going to be my least favorite, I really thought it was going to be this one. It just didn't seem like it was going to be anything, like, really up my alley. I remember when it was offered as a book of the month choice, and I was like, no. So it's about a boy, and he is orphaned, and he's basically raised by wolves. And when we meet him, there's a little girl who is coming to, like, deliver him meat, and it's kind of their spark of their friendship that lasts throughout the book. And really, you don't get his perspective at all. I think you get it, like, twice. And the rest of the book is told by people whose lives he's touched, whether for the better or for the worse, people who like him, people who don't like him. There's also kind of a phenomena that is, like, following him because of the fact that there was something caught of him, like, stopping a tornado. So then there's kind of that talk of, like, is he magical? Is he not magical? We don't know. So I got a lot of enjoyment out of this, way more than I anticipated. I listened to this on audio, and it was really good. So I'm glad that this got recommended to me, because I don't think I would have picked it up otherwise. Then we've got Long Way Down, which I gave 4 stars to. This is another one that I've been wanting to pick up for a really long time and just haven't. This is told in, like, prose, so like a poem type of writing style. This is by Jason Reynolds, and it's about a boy who's, I think his best friend is murdered. It's been a while. I read this back in January. And he wants to go out for revenge, because that's what you do. Somebody kills your friend, your brother, you go out and kill the person who killed them. So he gets on this elevator, and that's his plan. And on the way down, different people board the elevator, and it kind of gives him that time to reflect on whether he's making the right choice. Should he go out for revenge? Should he not go out for revenge? Highly recommend listening to this one on audio. It is read by Jason Reynolds himself, and he obviously knows exactly where to make, like, to reflect what he wanted it to be read like, because I feel like poetry and things like that, things that are written in verse, are definitely something that I feel like the author needs to read, so that way you can kind of hit every inflection that you wanted in your poem. So gave that one 4 stars. Then we've got The Cheat Sheet, which is a romance novel. I think it's by Sarah Adams. I'm really terrible with author names. This one was also on Kindle Unlimited, so if you're looking for books on Kindle Unlimited, there you go. So this is kind of like a sports romance, which I adore sports romances. We are following a football player and a ballet dancer, and they have always been friends. They are like the best of friends. Like, she is the reason why half of his relationships don't work out, but they both kind of secretly love each other, and they don't know it until this book, which is always cute. I think the reason why I didn't give it the 5th star was I just felt like I wanted some more fleshing out and more like grippingness to it. Like, I didn't feel as connected to the characters as I wanted. I wanted some more sports. I wanted a little bit more, which is why I didn't give it 4 stars, but it was still really good, and I would try this author again. Then we've got, this is so sad that this is so far down on my list, Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. I gave this one 3.5 stars, so we were starting to hit the 3s. I love Megan Miranda. She's one of my favorite authors, but for some reason this one just didn't do it, which is weird because this is one that I feel like has been getting like a lot of buzz of people really liking it. But for some reason it just didn't do it for me. You're following a small town like neighborhood. There was a double murder that happened in this neighborhood, and one of the neighbors did go to jail for it, but now things have kind of come to light that it wasn't them, and they were released, and she comes back to the neighborhood, and people are obviously on the edge of their seat of like, why is she here? What is she going to do? And it also is kind of looking back at what had happened in this murder. What, did she really do it? Did she not do it? If she didn't do it, who did it? I liked the beginning. I liked the end. The middle just got a little slow, and I didn't really care what was going on. So I definitely would have liked the pacing to be a little bit better in the middle, but the beginning was strong, the ending was strong, so 3.5 stars. Then I read When the Stars Go Dark, and this is about a woman who is trying to solve a murder of a missing girl case, but it's also kind of flashing back to her past when a similar crime had also been committed. This one, I don't know, like, I feel like this kind of also goes to show I was 3 stars. It's kind of forgettable. Like, I'm already like forgetting pieces to it. I remember when we first meet her, there's like a tragic scene of like she's escaping like her husband and her baby, and we like don't know why she's leaving. Like, her husband has basically kicked her out, and we don't know why. So we like eventually found out why, but like I wanted more of that. Like, I just felt like I wanted something more to it. So I gave it 3 stars. It was all right. I think a lot of people love this one, and it just didn't do it fully for me, but that's okay. Then we've got Second Chance at Us by Stacey Travis. This was recommended to me by Shelby. I will say that if you have this edition and you try to read the Kindle edition, they are different. Not by much. I think the author has just rearranged the order. I think the new order will match the new covers, but if you have this cover, it doesn't match. Just FYI. So this one we are following 2 friends when they were younger. They kind of have this moment, this day of like love. So her father dies, and he kind of takes her on this adventurous day to kind of like get her mind off it and really help her, because people are seeing her kind of rebelling, and they're like, what can we do for you? And he's like, you're not addressing your needs. Let me help you. So he like takes her on this whirlwind day. They fall in love, and like the next day he acts like she has never existed in his life, and he ignores her. They finish high school. They don't talk to each other, and one day she goes on her job. She's a labor and delivery nurse, and there he is, and it's their second chance. I just felt like things weren't really fleshed out. I wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic. There's a point, like, so we see them meet each other again, then we flash back to their past, and then we come back to their present, and I just felt like I needed more drama, like, especially, like, if somebody, like, goes from, like, falling in love with you to ignoring you the next day, and now you're back in each other's lives. I felt like she was very accepting of, like, his reasoning. Like, there was no fight, there was no tension, there was just no, I don't know, I just wanted more drama, so I gave it 3 stars. I don't own this anymore. I used to own it. I unhauled it. I sold it. This was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I feel like I have such a love-hate relationship with Colleen Hoover. Like, I either really, really love her books or I, like, really kind of don't like them. And this one was just one that I didn't really like. This girl goes to live with her brother, and she ends up kind of having this thing with this guy who's, like, the neighbor. And, like, they don't really want anything serious, but then one turns to want something serious. I don't know. So forgettable. I just remember just, like, really, like, disliking it. And I felt like the relationship just wasn't a healthy one. I felt like there was lots of communication issues and just a lot of things that I just didn't want and I didn't care for. And I didn't like it. So 3 stars for that one. And then this one I originally wrote down that I was going to give it 3 stars. I switched it to 2 stars. Was my least favorite, which is Wolf Winter by Cecilia Ekbach. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think this is actually a translated work, if I am correct, because this person was born in Sweden. This is a historical fiction. I thought that it was a historical fiction thriller, which is what Goodreads tried to pitch it as, but it really just feels like a historical fiction with kind of a problem going on. I thought it was going to be like an isolated story because it said that they are on a mountain and then somebody is found dead and they think it could have been animals, but it could have been a murder. There was also a lot of like priests and bishops and things in it that I wasn't anticipating based off of the back. And I wanted it to be more dramatic. I just wanted more thriller vibes. I wanted no priests and no bishops in here. I listened to this on audio, and by the end, I was just 3.5 speeding it because I didn't care about it. I wasn't connected to any of the characters. I felt like a lot of the story was going in one ear, out the other because I just didn't care. And unfortunately, I just didn't do it for me. So this was my least favorite out of the 12. So those are my 12 books that were recommended to me and how they turned out. I have to say, I have found some new favorites and some books that I possibly wouldn't have picked out without this. So I loved doing this. So like I said, I'm going to do a second round. Hopefully I'll have the TBR soon. Right now, I'm like waiting on 4 more recommendations. By the time this goes up, I will have those recommendations. So that TBR should be coming shortly. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye, everybody.